Hi, this is Fazana again, and welcome to Fazmaths. I'm here to help turn learning maths into an enjoyable experience. I hope you agree once you've watched this video, and the next, and the next, and the next. In this video, we'll look at questions asking you to solve quadratic inequalities. Please watch my videos on factorizing quadratic equations with 1x squared, more than 1x squared, and completing the square, because you need to be an expert at factorizing and solving. Once you can do that, these questions are really quite a breeze. Let's look at an example of factorizing, solving, and sketching a quadratic equation. Okay, if we factorized y equals x squared minus 3x minus 10, so you had to factorize x squared minus 3x minus 10, then you remember that we're looking for two numbers that add to give minus 3 and multiply to give minus 10. So the signs of the numbers are positive and negative, and then factors of 10 that have a difference of 3. So you'd have minus 5 and 2. So in brackets, you'd have x plus 2, x minus 5. And when we make that 0 to find the x-intercepts, we'd have x equals minus 2 or x equals 5. Okay, so if the equation or the inequality is x squared minus 3x minus 10 is less than 0, then what we're doing is, because the equation came from y equals x squared minus 3x minus 10, when we make y equals 0, that becomes the x-intercepts. So here we want the values of x when y is less than 0. And you can tell when y is less than 0, it'll be that part of the curve. Oops. Okay, so you can tell that x would be anything between minus 2 and 5. Okay, so it's a range. So we write it as minus 2 is less than x is less than 5. Okay, if we had to solve it, x squared minus 3x minus 10 is greater than 0, then we can tell we're looking for the line or the values of x above the x-intercept. So x would have to be less than minus 2, and x would be greater than 5. So you can see when it's less than, it's a range because it's that part of the curve, and when it's greater than 0, then it's either less than minus 2 or greater than 5. Okay, let's take another example. Okay, if it's given to you in this form, x squared is less than 5x minus 6, then remember we want the whole expression on one side. So we're going to minus the 5x and add the 6, so we're doing the opposite. So we've got x squared minus 5x plus 6 is less than 0. Okay, and solve it as if we're doing it normally. And so you're looking for two numbers that add to give minus 5, multiplied to give 6, and you get x minus 2, x minus 3 is less than 0. If we had to solve them as if it was 0, then x would be 2 or x would be 3. Okay, but because we're saying we're looking for the values of x when y is less than 0, we're actually picking up this part of the curve. So again, it's a range. So 2 is less than x is less than 3. Okay, as easy as that. It is quite simple once you fall in love with the curves and the parabolas and quadratics, and everything else just falls into place. Okay, here, if you're given x squared minus 4x is less than, oh sorry, let's do a greater than, is greater than or equal to 12, then again, we put everything on one side, so we're going to minus the 12. So we've got x squared minus 4x minus 12 is greater than or equal to 0. And solving it like normal, equals 0. So you've got x minus 6, x plus 2. Just carry the sign there. So you can tell x will be 6 or x will be minus 2. Okay, now we're looking for the values where y is greater than or equal to 0. So you can tell it will be there and there. So that means x would either have to be less than or equal to minus 2, or x will be greater than or equal to 6. Okay, cool. Right, next one. Okay, now let's take a slightly odd one. If you've got minus x squared is less than minus 2x minus 35, then the preferred method, or I prefer this method, I multiply everything by minus 1. So then anything negative will turn positive and anything positive will turn negative. So you've got x squared, but because you're multiplying by negative 1, that sign will become greater than, and you get 2x plus 35. And then bring it on to the other side, so you minus that, and you get x squared minus 2x minus 35 is greater than 0. Okay, solve it. You've got x minus 7, x plus 5 is greater than 0, and solving it as if it was 0, x would be 7 or x would be minus 5. Okay, we want it greater than 0, so you can tell it'll be there or there. So x would be less than minus 5, or x would be greater than 7. Okay, just to prove that that actually works, let's test it. If x has to be greater than 7, then let's make x equals 8 and test it in there. Okay, so minus x squared would be minus 64 is less than minus 2 times 8 is minus 16 minus 35, and minus 16 minus 35 comes to minus 51. Minus 64 is less than minus 51. Yes, it is. So you can tell by multiplying it by negative 1 and changing the sign, it still works. All right? Okay, let's take the final one. Okay. All right. Now, if you get asked minus x squared plus 2x plus 8 is greater than 0. Again, let's multiply everything by negative 1, and we'll get x squared minus 2x minus 8 is less than 0. Okay? And if you factorize it, you've got x minus 4, x plus 2 is less than 0. So x would be 4 or x would be minus 2. And because we're looking for the values where y is less than 0, you can tell we're looking for that part of it. So we're looking for those x values. So x would be less than minus 2, or x would be greater than 4. Okay? If we had to, let's just try something different. If we had that, and we made it greater than 0, and we considered that as the function x, so let's just write it down again. So you've got minus x squared plus 2x plus 8 is greater than 0. Now that would be minus x squared minus 2x minus 8. Okay? And that would be your function minus your function. Okay? And I'm just going to take some practice to do the completing the square. So what I do is I go, so it'll be minus x squared minus 2x, and then the minus and minus makes it just plus 8. I always leave that 8 on the side while I complete the square. So I've got minus x minus 1 squared minus 1 squared plus 8. Sorry, that's supposed to be in a square bracket. So then I'd have minus x minus 1 squared, and then a minus times a minus becomes plus 1 plus 8, and you've got minus x minus 1 squared plus 9. Okay, the minimum point here again is the x value what makes that 0. So the minimum point will be 1, 9. So if you have to find the value of x which makes that greater than 0, then you can tell that it'll be this part of the curve, which is still the x values of those. So can you see we've actually proved that if we had minus x squared plus 2x plus 8, which is that parabola, is greater than 0, it's actually the same as x squared minus 2x minus 8 is less than 0, because we're still picking up the same values of x, which are those. Okay, I hope that was easy to understand. Keep doing it until you feel really comfortable. All right, that's all for now. I hope this video made working out these questions easier and was fun to do. It was equally fun for me to make the video. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments section. And as I always say, keep working hard, it's so worth it. And experience the whole learning process with enthusiasm and determination. Remember, you're in control. Take care until next time. Bye.